Team ready? One's ready? Judge ready. Time starts. We don't think the process is physically justified. They're not justified to exclude the ones who are suffering due to countries' possessions that create chaoses in their home country. Therefore, as the concept, we strongly neglect today's resolution. Resolve unbalanced refugee restrictions in developed countries are permissible. First, I'll define two terms. First, restriction means anything that makes it more difficult for refugees to enter compared to normal immigrants, such as mobility restrictions and border control. Refugees. We define refugees as the people who are fleeing their own countries because of climate change or other chaos and instability in their country. Today we bring you two contentions. First, unjust, and second, win-win situation. Contention 1, unjust. We believe that the restriction of refugees is unjust in three ways. First, the restriction itself is unjustified. According to Mahar Masjid and Masar University in 2016, whether or not European states have the capacity to rightly control the movement of people in and outside their borders, it is a reality that border control policies go with numerous challenges to refugee rights and the right to mobility, the right to seek asylum. The measures that are being used have direct implications on the asylum principle, according to which all human beings are allowed to seek protection from persecution. Second, the restriction is not meant to protect citizens. They use this to further their nationalism, further their righteous view. John Washington of the nation stated last year another border patrol agent was pardoned after shooting a teenage boy through the border fence 10 times from behind. This is a role where restrictions belong to further states' racism. We don't think it is justified on the pro side to do so, and we see no sense here for giving the options to those countries to further exclude the ones that are most vulnerable. Third, we believe that the developed countries are directly responsible for the appearance for refugees, which creates an obligation for them to take care of the mess. They are responsible in two ways. First, they created pollution that caused climate change in developing countries, which created refugees. According to Professor Joseph Nevins, they also perpetrated and excused the wasteful and extractive capitalism that underlies so much of climate change. American and Canadian mining companies wreak havoc on communities and ecologies in Central America and the South Pacific. Likewise, huge quantities of Western waste are dumped in places like Malaysia and Africa, turning groundwater toxic as rising seas and devastating storms lay ruin disproportionately. Furthermore, according to climate analytics, USA and the EU is directly responsible for 30% of the climate change we are experiencing today, and it's the top two countries responsible. Second, those countries intervening in places such as the Middle East and Syria, which created massive scale instability and chaos. According to Daniel Trilling, reported for The Guardian in 2018, Europe has contributed to the situation of the countries the migrants leave behind, either historically or through the military and economic policies of current governments. According to Joseph Terrence, a professor at the University of Toronto in 2017, U.S. is responsible for the fact that someone has become a refugee. For example, people in Iraq and Afghanistan who have helped American forces have been put at risk because of this service. There are already people being excluded from a mission and hence safety as a result of Trump's policy. They directly created those refugees in the regions. We see they created every single one of them. We don't see how they can neglect any single one of them. We say that simply by the reason that refugees appear because of those countries such as U.S. due to intervention of pollution, we don't see how it's justified for them to simply say, well, I don't want to take care of the mess, I created. Yet, according to UN High Commissioner of Refugees, every single developed country has neglected their obligations from the 1951 UN Refugee Convention in favor of their own reasons. Since the overall concept is justified, we don't think it's permissible. Second, win-win situation. By accepting more refugees in developed nations, this creates a win-win situation for both the country and the refugees. According to Chris Bowen, spokesperson for UNHCR in 2018, as the number of displaced people worldwide continues to grow, the burden for caring for refugees is increasingly falling on developing nations. And resettlement into wealthier nations is a solution that is genuinely and urgently needed by more people than they are made available by governments. Developed countries will be so much more efficient compared to the developed countries. By not letting them in your country, you deny them from opportunities to work, and employment, and deny their opportunities to simply seek protection. But if you do, it creates a win-win situation for the host country too. According to John Washington Report 2019, if borders were open, economists predict an enormous boost in global GDP, which will rack it up by about $40 trillion, a 60% rise. According to Brookings Institute, the faster they can integrate into the labor force, the faster they can become productive members of society. In the US, migrants are 50% of the population, they represent 25% of the companies. Migrants are more likely to take risks, such as creating new ventures, thus creating new jobs for everyone. In the US, they create about 1.5 million jobs every year. Because how we believe it is not justified or beneficial on their side, while we prevent you a win-win situation, the resolution is not true and never been prouder to oppose.
As pro, we support refugee restriction in developed countries. Today's debate is not about whether to accept refugee, but whether restrictions on refugees should ever be permissible for developed countries. Legal barriers are an essential tool that benefits society by making sure immigration happens at a size and pace that society can handle. The reason should be obvious. Whether immigration is beneficial depends on how many people move and how quickly they show up. As the economist Paul observed in the bottom video, moderate migration is liable to confer overall social benefit, where sustained rapid migration will risk substantial costs. Before presenting you our three arguments, we'd like to begin the debate by offering the following definition. We define restriction as limits on number or type of people that can enter. We define permissible as a comment of behavior that dictates whether the behavior is within the bounds of the moral system. Contention 1, national identity. Having no restriction is a direct attack on a country's national identity and border, which is a fundamental right for every country. In Laws of People, philosopher John Raw argues that countries have a qualified right to limit immigration. A particular borderline might be historically arbitrary, but the existence of border is necessary for maintaining the land and natural resources of a given territory. Christopher Wellman, professor of philosophy, also supports by saying that a country should enjoy the benefits of right to autonomy since the country's immigration policy affects who will share in controlling the country's future. It is a matter of considerable importance since the members of a group can change. An important part of group self-determination is having control over what the self is. Just as an individual freedom of association entitled one to remain single, a state's freedom of association entitled to exclude all foreigner from its political community based on its condition. Contention 2, social solidity. Study by Robert Putnam also have found higher level of foreigner in the community are associated with lower level of social trust. High levels of rapid immigration erode the social trust necessary to integrate refugees productively in their new community. Important social trust can be shown in British psychologist David's study. In the report, he states, level of social trust predict national economic growth as powerfully as financial and physical capital, and more powerfully than skill level. It is also associated with many other non-economic outcomes, such as life satisfaction. In short, not much fun living in a place where you don't think other people can be trusted. Low trust results in society where you have to keep an eye over your shoulder. It's only with refugee restriction trust can be fostered, as it is then refugee can integrate effectively. Contention 3, social backlash. The intake of refugee will be a huge hit on the host country's social system and resources. Political theory professor David Mallow explained, immigration might pose a problem only in two circumstances. A, where the rate of immigration is so high that there's no time for positive mutual adjustment to occur. Consider recent Mexican immigration to California, where a large number of immigrants have arrived in a relatively short period of time. In such cases, the educational system and other such mechanisms of integration may be stretched beyond their capacity. The receiving community, recognizing social problems that immigration causes, may turn a cultural difference into a perceived cultural incompatibility and seek to deter further immigration. Right? Rapid rates of growth gave these countries inadequate time to adjust their legal institutional framework to incorporate newcomers effectively. These sowed the seed for recent reaction to immigration, such as rise of nationalist party with strong, if often selective, anti-immigration platform. At the end of the day, essentially what we see the Kong case is nothing but an example of good deeds gone bad. We as a pro-side also acknowledge that refugees are suffering, but it is important that we help them in a slow, steady manner so that they don't have to experience even more harsh conditions they will have to experience in the Kong world, which is a consequence that no one deserves to experience too. Therefore, due to the reason above, we're so proud to propose.
Everyone ready? I have the first question. So you talked about, the social solidity. How exactly does restriction help the social solidity to be more solid if there's still refugees entering the country?
Well, here's the thing, right? Clearly you haven't been listening to my speech, right? I already told you. It's all the study by Robert Putnam found, right? High levels of rapid immigration erode the social trust necessary to integrate refugees productively into their community. And that only happened, ladies and gentlemen, in their side of house, right? Because they're opening every border of developed countries, so that's why there'll be a large wave of refugees going inside those developed countries. That's the case where actually there'll be a high rise of social trust going down, right? So it's our turn to ask the question. Given how you're going to let all the refugees go inside those developed countries, will there still be enough money to have financial aid to other countries?
So we think that the current influx is only because there's one country that is available for the refugee, right? Right now in the status quo, because of how so many countries have restrictions, the refugees only have one option. But when all those options are open, when all those countries are no longer restricted refugee, now there's more option and the overall refugee distribution will be balanced. May I have my question now?
Well, can I have a follow-up?
Yeah, sure.
Well, here's the thing, right? Given how they're refugee, and there's a lack of information, we believe that on their side out, right? Even if, right, there will be like no border for this developed country, the refugees are still gonna like go to that one specific developed country. But also the thing is, right? For like as people, we all want to go to maybe the best country possible. So there might be the case where actually a group, like a huge amount of refugees go to that one economic prosperous country. For example, like, yeah, sure.
Okay. So you talked about like, the backlash. Can you quantify your impact by saying how many refugees are being harmed by the backlash, or how the country's political group have specifically turned to a nationalism political party?
Right. Here's the thing, right? If you're taking notice of recent news, we can see that already there are huge way of like right wings rising, right? There's nationalist like government rising saying anti-immigration. But also for this sort of thing, right? We also think that it's not quantified because it's going to be a long-term harm, and we believe that as international community, we should actually focus on long-term thing, right? Because at the end of the day, we're as human and as research country, we're supposed to look at the long-term benefit, not the short-term benefit, right? And why is that harmful? Right. Can I answer your question?
Can I notify something first?
All right, sure.
So what exactly is the long-term benefit you bring, right? Because look, you mentioned the status quo.
Yeah, I was about to explain
the status quo specifically is in a world where there's restriction. All those impacts that I mentioned exist in their world and on ours.
No, that's the whole case. I said because well, the difference, right, between our case is that we want to have immigrants in a slow, steady manner by accepting refugees. But yours have a house, right? Since you're going to open all border and there will be a rapid acceptance of refugees, social backlash will happen.
Everyone's ready? Time starts. Now, so I'd like to start off with the fact that they said that we want these refugees to come in a slow and steady manner. Fact is, refugees are fleeing from persecution, violence, and climate change. So you can't just simply keep them in that same place that currently has warfare, has lack of social order, and where violence rules all. You're basically condemning them to a death by using the excuse like, oh, we want them to come in a slow and steady manner. It's literally just an excuse so you don't need to accept more refugees. And so now, let's go one by one for their contentions. So one, national identity. The number one thing they talk about is an immigration policy. This is about refugees. And even if there is some small backlash effect, we say that human lives outweigh that. We're saving refugees. We're saving people from a life full of poverty, disenfranchisement, and full of pain. We are saving them. They're not. They're simply neglecting them because, oh, someone might be mad that I accept someone. No, on both sides, there's always going to be someone mad. But who's actually going to help the most vulnerable people in this debate? We say it's us, because we're actually the ones providing the solutions to the refugees while they only pamper their citizens and legitimize right-wing, alt-right politicians. Why? If the government, the authority, were to say, oh, yeah, I want to kick out refugees, I want to slow them down, I want to deter them from coming to my country, what does it have an imprint on the citizens? It says, oh, as a dutiful citizen, it is my obligation to help my government in getting rid of them. That's what they support. That's what they believe, that these refugees shouldn't be in developed countries. And a spokesman from the UNHCR, repeating what my first speaker said, developed countries is the most genuine and best solution. They have not provided any solution, or actually it will help benefit the biggest stakeholder in this debate. So therefore, Judge, please penalize them on that. Not only that, let's move on to what we have brought you. According to OECD Yearbook 2018, refugees are an opportunity, not a burden. They're able to bring jobs to the market, lots of it in fact. Wilson Center, October 17, told that low-skilled refugees can adapt and boost the economy by exponential rates. So all of their points on how it will strain the economy, like the government won't have enough money, is not true. Why? It's because this money is going to be covered by the refugees' contribution to the country. And we say that on our side, these developed countries actually have an incentive to help these refugees. Why? Because the refugees are contributing back to the government. In their world, they're literally just not accepting any refugees. They're like, oh, sorry, because of some trumped up arbitrary thing about national identity, I'm gonna kick you out, condemn you to a life full of misery. That's what they say. We say is this: we will accept we'll accept you, but you'll have to work for us and repay for what you did. Because in their world, the governments won't have an incentive. They're like, why should I send billions of dollars in taxpayer money just to help some country that probably won't help me in the future? By doing it in our world, we create a cycle of reciprocity where they will help each other, will only boost everyone's standard of living. And not only that, Joseph Cassidy in 2016 that these refugees are not harmful. In fact, they only help the economy. And quoting him, he said, do not be afraid of the theoretical scare tactics of stealing jobs and terrorism, because it is a really small chance. So essentially their entire impact is gone. They provide no benefits for the biggest stakeholder in the debate, and they're only there to legitimize alt-right and future conservatives. This is what they support, by the way. This is what they believe in. This is what they believe in over saving refugees, saving people from prosecution and war, and bringing economic prosperity among the countries. This is what they are presenting you, Judge, and this is what we are saying is not good. So at the end of the day, Judge, we bring you the most impact in this debate, so therefore we win. Thank you.
Now, before I start my rebuttal speech, I'll clear some misconceptions in today's debate. When Congress is advocating roles in which we're going to put restrictions and quotas, doesn't mean they're rejecting all refugees. When we're putting restrictions and quotas, we're taking amount of refugees, but only at a pace society integrate, where we can make sure that they're both enough resources for both parties. So therefore, when onto our first condition about economic benefits, we have to apply on our side too, because we're still taking in immigrants, refugees. So why is it one-sided? Why does the economic benefits only appear on our side? We tell you that a country with free border, with no limitation, with no quotas, accepting mass amount of refugees all at the same time, actually create devastating economic depression. If you look at current status quo with Germany and Italy, that's what's happening. When too much refugees flow in, there were not only social backlash where people feel like their welfare being taken away, also refugees sleep on the streets, live in deplorable situations where they cannot get a good living conditions. So what is the So what is exactly the impact of taking in too much refugees at once? We believe that's points being ignored by the opposition side. We tell you that when too many refugees are flowing to Italy at once, 10,000 migrants are living in deplorable conditions in Italy without shelter, food, and conditions. According to World Health Organization, the psychological and social stresses often experienced refugees during migration can double the prevalence of severe disorder and increase the figure of mild to moderate mental disorders. Our opposition may have claimed that this kind of data could also be caused by persecution in their own country. However, the data reference that what the refugee experience in developed countries actually give a huge rise to suffering. The reason why we have so many social backlash attacks against immigrants and refugees right now is because this mass inflow of refugees, the people don't know how to react to a completely new culture, completely new ethnicity, completely new religion. So therefore, we believe it is wiser for our side to set quotas and to make sure that immigrants, like the refugees, will be taken in a paid society integrate at a pace that society can produce food, water, shelter, and jobs to. We believe that's the world we should be promoting, but not a world in which the opposition is picturing right now. So on to the second contention about pollution. So let's redefine what a refugee is. We tell you that a refugee is instead those people who flee the country with a well-founded fear of persecutions. Therefore, it seems to be defined by UNHCR. With refugees, in today's context, today's debate should not include people fleeing away from environmental destructions. So even if you believe that your whole arguments about environmental pollution and we should be responsible for it is true, then we say they have like a relatively small impact because currently the three biggest countries that refugees are currently come from is Syria, Afghanistan, and Iraq. All those countries refugees are produced because of fear of inter-ethnic rivalries, because of political conflict. So therefore, if you're arguing that those countries we should be responsible for our past destruction is because some countries pollute their environment, then we say, even though it's true, it has a relatively small impact in today's debate, in which we should not be standing on. On to condition 3, about capabilities of the citizens. They literally admit in their crossfire speech that there's only one country currently accepting immigrants as refugees. That's the reason why the country is so crowded. However, it is simply not true. If you look at status quo, is Germany, Italy, Turkey, and every single countries. And the reason why some countries like Germany, Italy is clustered while Turkey is free is not because of restrictions itself, rather because immigrants are not willing to distribute themselves when they are looking for the best opportunity, when they're looking for the best lives in those countries. When they migrate, they're expecting Germany, Italy, those more developed countries to accept them, to give them better jobs. However, it actually turns out to be the opposite because of too much refugees flowing to countries all at once. We need to realize status quo that countries like Germany, even though they're developed and they're not that, they don't contain that limited resources as what the opposition pictures. So, also the opposition is accusing us for abandoning people who cannot be incentives. We tell you that currently UN is offering foreign aid to the countries. We tell you that the new border being built in Pakistan is a result of UNSCR directly involved in building a wall to stop ethnic rivalries. We believe this is the world that we should be promoting, but not a world as they picture you with limited resources. Thank you.
Time starts now. You have the first question.
Okay, so do you have a plan out about how feasible is it for countries to accept immigrants all at once?
Very feasible, because you didn't quantify the impact of Germany. Is Germany a third world country? No. So we believe it's completely
Excuse me,
feasible.
Germany is what? Germany is what?
You have not quantified the impact on how bad Germany is affected. We say Germany is fine. They're not reduced to a third world country like the impact you painted them out to be. So I believe it's my question.
Okay, follow up. So how bad Germany currently is right now, we can see from the status quo. We social backlash of citizens when they feel like their jobs are being stripped away. We see immigrants, too much refugees sleeping on the road without shelter, without food. We give you evidence about Italy, which tells you how when the refugees not being received enough care for what following up answer. When the refugees are not receiving enough resources for their basic survival, they have mental disorder. We that's I want to start throwing statistics about how unfeasible the plan is.
I'd like to point something out.
All at once. Yes, please.
That's because you legitimize these alt-right parties. You legitimize racism through accepting these restrictions. The government is authority. They're the figurehead.
Okay.
So the government sets an example,
Yes.
okay?
Yeah.
When they set an example that they don't want refugees to come, the citizens will follow the same thing. You can't simply just assume rationality and how all citizens will accept refugees even as a minority. And not only that.
Thank you.
Sorry, hold on.
Just because you have 2 points, I want to answer you one by one, okay?
Fine.
So you see the opposition is being too absolute. You're accusing us for rejecting refugees. That's basically your stance, saying that we're tolerating our own people's discrimination. However, the attitude on our side is when we're putting restrictions, we're not rejecting them, we're still taking it in. So that's firstly a preservation of our own sovereignty, and secondly, we're helping refugees. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So why is it that financial aid, tried in the status quo, seen in Uganda, where the funds only have them embezzled, it's happened in the status quo, it has failed. So why do you still support an alien system that won't help the refugee at all?
In the status quo, it fails because the funds go directly to the government while the government's corrupt. However, the newest border in Pakistan is directly being implemented by the international community. That's what it was about. So my question.
So essentially, you want them to be in refugee camps. Okay.
So my question time. So so according to the definition of UNHCR, refugees are only people who flee of fear or persecutions. How do you necessarily believe that environmental people fleeing from the environment count as refugees?
Okay, first of all, that one was made in 1951. No one knew what climate change was in 1951. So I believe we should update ourselves with a more recent version.
It's made in 1951, but still using right now.
Okay,
and also,
we should not debate over the definition, so I'd like to move on. So why is it that you believe that you should prioritize a citizen's happiness, not even safety, happiness over hundreds and thousands of lives?
Okay, because we see that people have social backlash against it, while there's one political figure that's wanting to help the people, but people have sort of backlash, don't like what the policy, can I finish my sentence? Yeah, so if there's a political figure that is currently voting for pro-refugee and people don't like it, they'll very likely change their opinions if political figures allowing too much refugee. We believe that's in the long term, yeah.
We'll use some ready prep. That's enough. 28 seconds.
You ready? One's ready. Judge ready. First, all you do is simply their definition of we're going to take care of refugees slow. Let's just take a second and listen to how absurd that is. Slow, leave them to instability, leave them to prosecution, leave them to war and all that. They're gonna die, right? It's not just a matter of time, it's a matter of lived life and death. So let's get that away from it first. There's 3 things that we'll cover in my speech. First, is justification where they never engage. Second, a backlash, and a third about the solution and the sovereignty, right? First, justification, right? They have like national identity and there's countries that have sovereignty. We think that when countries intervene in other countries like the Middle East, they are intervening their sovereignty. We believe that to an extent they are now responsible for the people who are suffering because of those countries being intervened. We see no justification or engagement coming from their side. This is the framework that our side wants to defend. This is the framework that are proven. But furthermore, what did we tell you? We tell you that restriction itself is just. No engagement coming from their side. We tell you that countries use it as racism because they don't actually want to accept those refugees. They just use it as like resource drain as an excuse. What did we hear? Nothing. So from this simple idea, we can already win on justification because that is the burden we want to prove. But second, let's talk about backlash, right? They tell you a few things. And, when there's a huge influx in the country, it's stretched out of capacity. However, we have already told you that there's a national division. And then they brought up examples like Turkey, India, Italy, and then Germany. We see that's only 4 countries, right? Right now, there's so many countries with restriction, and when all of them opens, the national division will basically balance out the refugee numbers and all those. But even if you find what I said, we have gave you a specific economic growth impact there. We have our sources to tell you that immigrants will help the country's economy grow. $40 trillion globally. No engagement, we want this class. But furthermore, they talk about, there's a rise of national backlash. So first, we believe that it is the restriction that does this because the government is the model, as my second speaker has proven. But second, we believe that because of those people are minorities, right? That's why they're being abused. So when there's more people going in, they're less likely to abuse. And then, they tell there's a long impact. There's a long impact of social backlash. And we don't see how they quantify it. So let's just take a second. Doesn't that sound like every single politician, all right politicians say, there's a long impact of social backlash. We see how they cannot quantify the impact, and overall, we don't see the impact overall. So at the end of the day, if we compare, right? In our world, we help refugees live. In their world, refugees are only being harmed. Impact outweighs.
Just like pineapples on pizza, Kant's case is nothing but another great example of sounds good in theory but sucks in practice. 3 parts I'd like to focus. A, they accuse us of being unwilling to help. B, human lives are important. C, refugee. I'd like to focus on them accusing us being unwilling to help. So they tell you the idea of fear policy, right? They tell you that it's propaganda. That's why it's bad, right? But we tell you why does those things work, right? In order to believe in something, you need experience, right? You need evidence, and that's when people believe in things. Ladies and gentlemen, fear is one of the characteristics of people, right? The solution of it is not just forcing the people to accept refugee when they are actually scared of refugee, but instead, right, accept refugee in a society manner to prevent them from getting out of control, right? So on the second of their human life, right, we tell you that at the end of the day, they're the side who are killing more lives. So thinking back to my rebel on the idea of accused of being unwilling to help. So when you have too much refugee inside country, and when there's fear inside those countries, that's when the case where the right wing will rise. Because only when Germany faces this problem after it opened its border, right, the people feel that they're threatened by the refugee. That's only the things that are going to happen at the case. So we at the end of the day, the people will start to, as they said, the power comes from the people. People will actually start to choose conservative leaders who are actually against refugee policy, leading to less refugee being safe in the future. So when you're talking about which side saves more refugee, actually we're a side who are saving more refugee. But also on the idea, they have been debating a lot about the definition of refugee, right? Don't take their definition, right? Because in the first speech they said that refugee is about environment. But then but later, during the debate, and then in order to appeal to your emotion, they started to talk about no, it's not about environmental refugee. It's actually about war refugee. So we do not believe the definition really stands. So the case of developed country obligation must fall. All those reasons must fall.
Everyone ready? Oh. Ready? Okay, time starts now. There's tens and thousands of people dying every day in the chaos and intervention in the basically Middle East. How can the social backlash impact outweigh specifically when you can't even quantify it and just say it's a long impact?
I think I have spent enough time in my summary speech to tell tell you that, yeah, sure, in the short term, you might seem like you're the one who's saving more refugee, right? But since you have already agreed, social backlash will happen at the end of the day, is that in the future, right, people will start to vote since they